Is Emily? You don't know? Okay. I didn't know. I can't really see her. Just gonna wait on a couple more people.
Would you like some pleasure?
Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and hopefully this won't feel too crazy or unprepared or unorganized. So, successful marketing starts with a plan. We actually started this this whole idea through a mentoring class that I'm going through on running an agency and business and all, just executive coaching type stuff. And he said, you know, one of the most confusing parts to an agency and to an agency's projects or products rather is for the salesperson or for anybody to try to explain to the potential client what in the world is going to work for their company, for their particular industry, for their target audience. And so to go out and discuss digital marketing without having a solid plan is pretty much impossible to do it well, at least. So now we started this entire process of having one product called a strategic marketing plan, which led to this class, and it's going to lead to many more, I think, probably in-depth subclasses about the different areas within a marketing plan and the decisions that go within those subsections. The whys, the hows, the tools, the measurement, and all of that kind of combined. But it's so much for each little section that today is going to be a pass through on the high level stuff, I guess. So we all know the marketing process is you want to, and I'm sorry that it's so small there, you want to attract the interest. You got to capture the leads. You manage those prospects as they're coming into your systems, and then you want to make that sale or get that volunteer to sign up or get the donation or whatever the goal might be. And then you're going to continue down this same path, deliver and satisfy, which is the number one thing we have to do. We have to make sure that we're taking care of our customers and keeping them happy. And then we hopefully have an internal path, which is in and of itself another marketing plan that you can have that we call in here a client path, which is, okay, you're a client, but maybe for us, you just have a website and we want you to get a mobile app. Or if you're a salon, maybe you go get your hair cut, but they want you to know that they do massages and nails and whatever, waxings and stuff like that. So there's always a path in every company, in every organization, even once you become a customer or client or whatever it might be. So the first step that we try to take, and I'm going to hold some of this stuff up here, and then some of it's proprietary, I guess, if you want to call it that, but more than anything, it's just confusing beyond any usefulness to you. But we go through an internal marketing audit, and this has always been our process. It's just an example of what one of these might look like. And actually, I've got this particular one pulled up, but what are you trying to accomplish? How much is a lead worth to you? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself to try to determine what in the world you want to do. And let me jump over here to this marketing audit that we had. We did this quite a bit ago. So we normally have a meeting summary where we go and we just talk to somebody and we say, what is it that you're trying to do? What do you think you want to do? And in this particular case, it was, hey, I just want leads. I need some leads so I can make some sales and get some new clients. And he's also writing a book, and you just can't leave anything out. You want to consider every aspect of what in the world they're doing, and just talk to them. And that's usually the first, I guess, the first step in our process. Sure. Hey, how are you? We're just getting going. So the first step in the process is just talk to your client, talk to your team internally, whatever it might be, and just try to get any and all information you can. A lot of people use Excel. There's a ton of CRMs out there, but you want to document this information. We call it creating a client profile in-house. We have Dots that we're building, and Dots is our CRM, but there's HubSpot and Salesforce. There's a ton of things that you can go out there, but you want to create this visual, this documented space of, this is what they've said, this is what we've determined based on our research and what all we've seen them do, and you're just creating a client profile. So we go through this long document here, and we try to get their objectives. And most of the time, it's a great exercise to have ideas already out there documented, so that you have a starting point. Like, almost everybody's going to say they want to be an authority in whatever their industry is. If you're in aging, if you're in telecom, then one of your goals could possibly be to establish yourself as the authority in that realm, even if it's not nationally or some celebrity level. You're the authority locally on that, and you're the one that people are going to come to. So that, just having that in there, when we're doing another audit, we're going to look at that and say, okay, well, obviously we're going to change out the whole executive coaching thing, but they do want to be an authority in their industry. And now let me jump back over here, and I can give you some of that stuff if anybody wants to. Just shoot me an email. You can email support@WideNet and just ask for some of this information. So develop your marketing objectives. What's your timeline? That's incredibly important. We, in our marketing plan, we like to look at 6 months, but truthfully, most people have at least quarterly. They're going to do the same thing every year at any established company, and it might be automotive loans, home loans, whatever, and each quarter they're going to go after that. So it's easy to create a 1-year-long plan, but the first quarter almost defines what you're going to do every other quarter. You're just going after a different subset of your audience. If they already have, say, a home loan with you, then you're not going to go after that person. You're going to go after somebody that maybe has an auto loan or new clients, things like that. So define the time frame that you want to accomplish your objectives in, and then do you actually have the ability to accomplish these things? We've run into clients that maybe they use WordPress, or maybe they are stuck on Weebly or whatever with their website, and or we have a bank client that is locked into their banking platform and they have just no control over their site. So when you're creating your objectives, you have to also consider, all right, my objective is to do lead capture forms and generate stuff through the website. Well, if you can't put a lead capture form on your website, then you literally can't do it. You can't accomplish it. Or you may not have the authority internally. You may not be able to get the funding to go after the objectives. But in my opinion, when you're creating a marketing plan, you need to say, this is what you need to do. This is what I've determined you need to do to be successful. Okay, not this is what you can do with $600 a month and you only like Facebook. It's, this is what you need to do from a high level overview, taking 2 steps back and looking at the entire spectrum, and we'll get to that in just a second, the entire spectrum of marketing options, which go far beyond what what we do here and what may be possible to even get done in this area. So then you've got to segment your audience. So to segment it, you've got to define it. Now, what we do is we go through our demographics and we say, who are they? But for us, we're going, B2B, you're going after the decision maker. But what you have to ask yourself, beyond CEO, marketing manager, somebody like that, who's actually being asked to do the research? A lot of times, for instance, with aging, it's not going to be my target audience is a really retired, older generation person. It might be their kids or even their grandkids that you're actually going to target. Or for us, a lot of times you're looking at that gatekeeper, you're looking at the executive assistant or a marketing person, or just somebody that might randomly be asked, hey, while you have the time, can you go see if you can find some video capturing software or whatever it might be? You can't always assume that just because that a CEO or an owner is going to be the one to make the decision ultimately, that's who you're actually going after. So think about that as you're going through your audience. Who's looking that is going to influence the decision maker, and then of course include the decision makers. Data, when in doubt, capture it. One of the key reasons and principles that we're building into DOTS is that we've done a lot of research and we've studied and we've learned that knowing somebody's favorite football team or baseball team is incredibly valuable information, but you're not necessarily thinking about that when you're thinking about your lead forms or whatever. Just when in doubt, get the information and put it in your system, because when you need to go make that $50,000 sale or persuade somebody to make a huge donation, and you can show up with a Nick Saban signed football, then that's gonna stick in their head. They're gonna remember that, and it's a silly thing, and you think, why would I need that? But just when in doubt, get the information and put it in there, because it might help you. Hey, I see your kids. You've got 3 kids, and their birthdays are coming up. Or how's your anniversary? You going anywhere again this summer? Last summer you went to the beach, and I know you had a great time. Don't be creepy about it. Don't say, I saw the photos on your Facebook because I stalked you, and your family's nice and your wife is pretty. That's that's horrible. But when in doubt, log it. You could use Excel. I gotta say, even to this day, sometimes we use Excel. We're building a CRM. We teach it and preach it, and Excel works, but don't use it if you can help it. You need a CRM, customer contact relationship management software. It will help you run reports and segment your audience, but most importantly, most CRMs these days will integrate with something like MailChimp or Constant Contact or whatever, and you can segment that off of those emails that you're sending out, or you can have dynamically generated content in those emails that you're sending out. And you, like, let's say you're a store, an apparel store, you're going to send the male version of your email to men, and and then you might send a generic one out when you don't know the gender of the person. You just have an email address maybe. So you've got to capture it, but putting it in Excel is, or Google Docs sheets or whatever, is, while better than nothing, not good enough if you can help it. So you need it in a CRM so that you can begin to segment that down, and you need to start defining what those segments might be and why. So for us, or for most people, especially in the HubSpot system, you're going to have what do they call it? It's it's lifecycle management. So you've got a cold lead, or just an email address, like a newsletter sign up, all the way up to their client, and then to they are maybe a lost client at some point, or a stagnant kind of non-contacted client. And then you've got one level beyond, we've actually made that sale. You've got an advocate, somebody that's truly going out there and they love your brand, they're going to defend your brand. And those are the people you want to make sure you're sending those touches to. So once you've defined your audience and you know your objectives, you need to take the time to analyze your current marketing efforts. Now this is probably just half of the battle, okay? Because you need to know that you have the right tools in place. And I'm going to show you this really cool tool in just a second. But you have the right tools in place, and then you know how to go in and look at those, the measurements. It is even possible. For instance, with billboards, for Alexander Shinara, they're kicking tail, right? Everybody knows who he is. They see him everywhere. It's working for him. Traditional advertising media can work and does, but how do you measure it? Have you seen the billboard? You have to measure those things with a phone call. When you're talking about online stuff, it's a lot easier as long as you have access again, as long as you're capable or able or able to get in there and measure it. If it's Facebook, if it's Google Analytics, and then I'm going to pull this up, and you're going to find it pretty cool and also pretty creepy. It's called Hotjar, and we've started installing it on our. Let me pull up our website, and we've put it on a couple of client sites. We just really found out about it a few weeks ago. So with Hotjar, what you're able to do is, for not very much, maybe 30 bucks or so, you can view a heat map. So this is a heat map, and this is just one part of it, a heat map of our website and where people are clicking. So in the last however many days, I want to say it was 7 or 8 days, 20 clicks here, a few here, you're able to see exactly where they're going and what they're doing. Here they're clicking the little dots that they go through the slideshow. People are clicking start a campaign, but they are not interested in mobile apps. So that in and of itself is information, right? Should we maybe get rid of the mobile apps button, or maybe the mobile apps button is actually broken? There's a lot of things you can consider from there. And then when they come down here, nobody's clicking this button. Maybe we just need to drop this form off the homepage. There's a lot of analysis you can do if you take the time to think about it. And hey, they're coming here and they're clicking these things. Maybe we should make them clickable, right? They don't go anywhere. Maybe we should make them go to case studies or at the very least, to our work page. You know, these are critiques that you have to be able to make on yourself to see what's working and why. And then you can see it on the mobile view as well. It doesn't generate the mobile screenshots as well. Let me jump back to desktop. And this is pretty neat. On the scroll, you can say 100% of the people saw this much of the page. And then 75% here, 46, and as you're dragging this down, I assume you can see some of that. I'm at 30% here, and you kind of see how far are people actually scrolling down the page. So this is where your fold is, and just like with a newspaper, you know, I need to put my hot topics right here. I need to put that content that I really want people to see and know about right there. Recordings. Now this is fun. This actually goes through and tracks every visit to your site and records what happens. So let's jump down. This was 5 hours ago. Here's 8 hours ago. It's 16. Well, let me deal with this a couple more minutes long. All right. This is services. Now it's like 2 times speed down here, and I'm skipping. Well, let me not skip the pauses for a minute. So I'm started over. Now you'll see up here, they're moving their mouse around, they're reading. Most people read with their mouse, so you can kind of see what's catching the eye, what's not catching the eye. Now if in this particular case, there's a long pause period. There's a button down here, you can say skip pauses, and that's what I wanted to show you. When sometimes people just leave a tab open, you know, or you'll hold down control, you'll click a bunch of buttons and open a tab. That counts as a pause, and you can just jump past that, and it'll show you what happens after that. So then they come, they click the Our Services page, they're scrolling down, they're moving around and looking, and Okay, and that's all this one does on this page. But you can download that. You can segment the different pages and actions, like did they visit the free strategy page and why, and how many pages did they visit. So this one visited 10 pages. They were on the site for 7 minutes. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be kind of creepy and watch this. You can also watch as they type in their form information and whether or not they hit submit, and then maybe again analyzing what is and isn't working on your site, not just from a marketing perspective, but sometimes from a functionality perspective. Like, I'm not getting any form submissions. Why? Oh, and we actually did find this on our own website. On all of those service pages, the forms were set to go to the wrong place on our site, and that's very frustrating for me as the person that is, you know, the one doing it, right? So we found a bug very quickly and we fixed it. But we're starting to put these on each site, so that whenever we're doing a marketing plan, so that you can come in here and see what is and isn't working. Again, measuring your current efforts and why or why not they're working. And in some cases, like with Mike Major in there, somebody came in and went down to our site and just kept circling with their mouse, circling Mike on the about page, and he was like, "This is really creepy. This is weird." And they just kept clicking and circling, and he's like, "I have a problem with this," and it was funny. It was like one of the first ones. I actually think Tim did it in here, but just to mess with him. But you never really know, right? So again, let me just go and blow that back up for you. You're going to analyze those marketing efforts. You're going to go into your Google Analytics, into your HubSpot will also do it. Eventually, Dots will do it. But in HubSpot, you can say, this is a contact, and this is how I found that contact, and this is where that contact has gone on my website. It's pretty interesting to be able to track, okay, this person never goes to our mobile apps page, but they're on our SEO page, yet they're not an SEO customer. So maybe I should call them and try to sell them SEO. Or maybe if you're in a car dealership, they're always looking at Altimas. You know, so when we send them that next email, let's not send them one about a Maxima. And let's not send them one about a Versa, because we want to make as much money as we can. So we're going to send them the one that should hit them right on the money. So create this list of what you're doing. I love to have, here it is. We had a very long meeting where we came up with a current marketing effort check sheet. We just make a big list, but my point is consider everything every time. And you're going to need to redo your marketing plan for whatever amount of time you're setting the marketing plan. So if it's 1 year marketing plan, then every year come at it fresh, because you never want to leave anything off the table. Website, mobile app, social media, Google My Business, paid ads, marketing automation, email campaigns. These are all marketing things that you can be doing. Conferences, expos, billboards, yellow pages, TV, radio, newspaper. For certain clients, those things are going to work better than Facebook and the things that we sell. And our suggestion in our marketing plan is not, hey, let me come up with something that you're going to buy from us. Like, this is what's going to work for you. We've discovered maybe that for you, mailing out something is 10 times better, and you've already got all the mail out. So just keep doing that. Never stop, because it's killing it. It's really working. That should be a part of the plan, but you should reconsider that every year, and you should be measuring it as much as possible every month, no matter what it is. So once you've done that, you've got it all down. What are you doing, and is it working? There's a lot of different ways to rank things. You can go straight to ROI and try to determine the dollar value, but most of the time it's really hard. And most of the time, as much as you might want, even if you've got it built into a script, when somebody picks up that phone and they say, let's go on WideNet or whatever the case may be, they're never going to remember to ask, where did you hear about us? Or did you see our billboard? Or did you get our flyer? Like, it's never going to be 100% that they remember to ask those questions, again, as much as you want them to. And even when they do ask the questions, many times they have seen the billboard, and that constant reminder, that constant brand awareness is really killing it, and it's really working. Like the Jackson Mortgage guy up here with the coming down the hill. Isn't that who Jackson? He's been there. He's had that billboard for like 25 years. Watched his daughter grow up on the billboard and all of that. Like, he should never get rid of that billboard. that would definitely be in the marketing plan for him, in my opinion. But how do you measure that? How do you measure that long of a period of time and that many calls, that many sales or missed opportunities? If it's $1,500 a month for that, is it possible to spend $1,500 a month on Facebook or Google Ads or Yellow Pages and get even more bang for your buck out of that? And you have to, at that point, start to consider your budget. So rank it somehow. If you can't find the dollar amount, at least use your gut and put it in an order so that you've got your current marketing effort and you've ordered it by what you think and believe is the most effective. And then we can start to go forward and consider not just what you are doing and how effective it's being, but when you start to look at what you could be doing, again, that's where you take that money and you start to allocate. Okay, we've got this, I've got it ranked down here to 6, even though for whatever reason I thought it was working, the billboard for Jackson Moore. Maybe he determines, okay, that's a 6 out of my 10 things that I'm doing. What if I did take that money and put it over here? What aren't you doing? That's the 0 to 1. So that's Six Sigma. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that mentality, methodology, whatever you want to call it. But for instance, if you aren't sending emails and you don't have maybe an email marketing automation campaign set up, if you're not doing any of that, then the value and the ease to go from 0 to a 1 out of 6, you're going to get a lot of value and a lot of return on your investment when you go from 0 to 1. To go from a 5 to a 6 on the Six Sigma scale is I am super crazy optimized on my email, but I'm going to keep tweaking this one button's color until I'm getting every dollar and penny and cent I can out of that button, because I want to know that a button this big instead of this big that's this color is going to work. Those little tweaks you get value from, and they should be done, A/B testing and all that, but you've got to consider that, okay, is it really worth optimizing and tweaking all of that, or is it better to start something that's brand new because I'm going to get a lot more return a lot faster on that? So that's what the 0 to 1 is easier. If you're not doing it, most likely, if you consider or if you've determined that that's where some of the eyeballs are, that's probably the first thing on your list to do when you're making that plan and suggesting the next steps. So use systems to consider all options. We use processes, docs, .crm. I mean, this is basically one marketing plan session where so many pages, and it's hours and hours and hours of talking and thinking, and it hurts usually. But we use a lot of docs, but we discovered recently, like last week, this site you can go to, it's free. And I may have, oh yeah, there it is, Process Street. And they have a lot of free templates for a lot of this. Check boxes as you go down the list, and it's got employee onboarding, it's got client onboarding templates, it's got marketing and blogging and content creation templates that you can use to start from, and then it's just a very easy reminder, and it's free. Most of the features, most of the big features you'd consider are free there, so it's a great option to consider at the very least. And you've got to have that. Again, you'll never remember to consider newspaper ads or billboards every single time you do a marketing plan, and of course it's much more often for us. But if you just write it down somewhere, hey, don't forget to think about Expos and Pandora and Spotify, and those are really effective right now. We're talking about a client over on 280 where it's a parking lot at 5 o'clock. You know, the traffic over there is horrible in Atlanta. If you're using Spotify and Pandora advertising, you're going to hit those ears that are just sitting there on 280, and you could put a little geo fence around maybe where your store is, because that's the particular company has a location over there, and you can hit those people while they're sitting there in the parking lot of 280 and hit their ears through the radio. But if you don't write it down, you're not going to remember every single time to consider radio and all of the new various ways to get your message and your name out there. Never skip an option either. Truly ask yourself, is an expo or teaching a class in your office or throwing your own big WideNet summit party that we did in Gadsden, like that isn't on any list anywhere. You know, we just came up with that, but always try to think outside the box on anything possible, and then write it down so you don't forget to think about it next time when you're considering which way to go. And document it. So this is the part where we get to actually documenting and creating the plan. Always write it down. And I will definitely share, I'm gonna tack it on, but this was kind of a quick table of contents that we put together. And okay, so table of contents for a marketing plan. Introduction and methodology. This is just a little bit about the way we do it, but then again, your marketing objective summarized, your market segmentation, define those audiences, and define the voice and the message that you want to use with them. Are you going to be funny, sarcastic, witty, you know, whatever that case may be? What is going to really sink in for those people? And then again, analyzing the online, offline marketing efforts, and then you begin that comprehensive marketing plan. And always break it down into phases or sprints, whatever you want to call it, or quarters or months. However you're going to break it down, you've got to break it down. And what you want to do within each of these phases is, and I talk about that right here on this next one, is estimate your hours. As you're writing these things down, do your best to create the subtasks and just try to estimate the hours, because you're going to find that it adds up really quickly. We were talking this morning, 30 people or 10 people working on one project for a week is 400 hours. I mean, it adds up very quickly when you start to bring in 10 people into one meeting and have that meeting. And it'll help you be able to plan it out. If you're writing it down and you're saying that I can get all of this done this month, and then you put the numbers down and you realize I can't actually do this and get my normal workday stuff done and answer the calls and do all the little things that come up every single day, then now you know. And now you can start to adjust the timeline of your plan, or maybe scale back different aspects of it. And there are a lot of project management tools. We use Teamwork, actually. It's not that expensive, teamwork.com. We also use it for a help system. We used to use Help Scout, but we swapped over to Teamwork Desk. But Teamwork Projects is great, comes with a free chat app as well, so you can communicate internally. And Scrum is just a methodology where you're doing everything in sprints without necessarily defined timelines. You're not saying sprint 1 ends at the end of quarter 1. You're saying sprint 1 ends when you finished all of the things in the first sprint, and hopefully nothing's going to interrupt you and you're going to power through that and get it all done. So a lot of different ways you can go through all of that. If you can't measure it, you can't adjust it, and you can't determine if you were successful or not. And I guess that's probably the most important thing that I've learned is, number one, to convince yourself to spend that money again on whatever marketing effort you've chosen, to be able to have those tools in place, like the hot jars, like Google Analytics, because you can't go back in time and put Google Analytics on your site and then collect all of that data later. You know, you have to go ahead and get it on there now. You have to prepare and make it where you can, in fact, measure all this. Some of the coolest stuff here recently that we've been doing, I know I've talked before about the pixels, Facebook pixels, Google pixels, they're everywhere. You can put, for any platform, pretty much, you can put a pixel out there. But with the Facebook pixels, you can track a Facebook ad or even just a visit to your website, and you can say, when somebody adds something to the cart, log that event. You can do that on Google Analytics, you can do it on quite a few other places, but you can track the individual actions so you can see where you're losing people in the process and in the sales funnel. And if that is indeed a positive ROI for you, because even with Facebook or Google Analytics, you can assign a value to every action. So if they come to your site and sign up, then say that lead is worth $10, or maybe they actually bought something on your site because you're an e-commerce site, then you can assign the actual value of that purchase and track it straight back to the original ad that ran on Facebook that drove that purchase, and determine, okay, I spent $100 on the ad, but I only sold a $12 product. Obviously that wasn't worth it. Let's try something else. But you've got to be monitoring it constantly, or else you're going to miss that. And 6 months later, you're going to realize, oh crap, I just spent $12,000 and I haven't sold but this one $12 widget once. So again, measuring it, and then each year starting from scratch, each 6 month, each quarter, however long your plan is going to be for, you need this to completely, just from scratch, consider every single avenue that you could possibly market in, because you've written it down, you've documented it, and I'll send some of this stuff out. We'll put it on the WideNet blog, but that is what I've got for the marketing plan. Do you have questions, or can I go into more detail on anything in particular today? Got about 10 minutes. I know I've rambled for a little bit. All right, well, this will be, again, this will be online. The presentation will be online. It's short with the notes, but I'll take this, the table of contents, some of the questions that we like to ask ourselves, and we'll put that out there or we'll send you a copy of it before coming out and doing all that, and hanging out with us. So, and if you do have any questions, or you want hot jar on your site, because y'all are with clients over there, then we need to throw that on your sites and give you access to that. So please, if you don't hear from me, I'll send me an email reminder. Actually send it to support, because then Mike gets it and Mike will sign it to me and he'll make sure I get it done. But if there are no questions, then I'm going to end this. And thank you very much.